Good morning, everyone. Uh, we did our last class. Okay, so in our last class, we did introduction to research, which I hope we have all listened to the lecture. So today we'll continue from where we stopped. But before we continue, I want to emphasize some things we've discussed already. So, what is research? We already say, we've already research is the backbone of modern advances and innovation in healthcare. So more like research is an innovation where we tend to provide solution, recommendation, and advance healthcare in the society or uh, in any specific region. So we have different departments, we have different niche for research. We have the public health, we have the biotechnology, we have the bioinformatics, drug discovery, clinical research, traditional medicine explained the last time. So also, I talked about how to the structure of this, which we say we have two major type of research structure. We have the IMRAD structure and the non-IMRAD structure. The IMRAD structure follows the IMRAD, which where I stands for introduction, M stands for methodology or method, and R stands for results. A is just there, just that it will be pronounceable. Then we have D for discussion. And there's this thing we have to know that for every research paper, most of our research paper, we start with what? With abstract. And then they would end with what? With the conclusion and reference. So we have to know all of these things and we've explained it in the last class. So today we will take it a step forward. We'll write how do we write a research paper? Okay. So now last week we also discussed about what we call database. What is database? Database the public journal where we can find any literature. When I say literature, I mean manuscript. When I say manuscript, I mean published research paper. And I said we have two major type of journal, two major or two the most common research paper, the most common databases are just two, which are PubMed and what and Google Scholar. So what to use any of this, all we need to do is just go to our browser, any of our browser, and click on PubMed, PUBMED, right? So we have PubMed. You can click on PubMed, then you click on the first results. Then it will lead you to something here, something like this. So you can also do the same when you click on Google Scholar, right? So all you need to do is just click on Google Scholar. Anyway, I have it here already. So you click on the first result also. So you should have it. The same thing now. Okay, so if you have something like this, so what's the meaning? What is the usefulness of this particular uh search box or this search engine? So all you need to do, or whatever you need, maybe you have your research interest is about drug abuse, your research interest is oncology, your research interest is public health, whichever one. So all you need to do is just maybe I'm trying to write a research paper, and the name of my research paper is let's say, uh, pros and cons. If we are trying to write something like this, pros and cons, question. Okay. Okay, let's say we're trying to write a research on this, the advantage and disadvantage of the incorporation of technology in healthcare in West Africa. Right. So we are trying to write something on this. We are trying to write a research paper on this. So now the first thing is that we can see what we are trying to write is what pros and cons of the incorporation of technology in West Africa. So the first question we need to answer, which type of research paper is this? Even though we've listed the types of research paper that we have, let's list it again. We say we have the full or original research paper. You can call it full, you can call it original, and some people call it what? Wet lab research. You can call it, we also have commentary research paper. We have letter to editor, and so on and so forth. So now, which this particular one, do you think it will follow? It will be original and or commentary research. Which one do you think it will be? So how do we answer this question? Uh, Now let's look at it in this way. Original we always follow IMRA structure. We always follow IMRA structure, right? So and commentary research paper will always follow non-IMRAD structure. This one will always follow what? Non-IMRAD structure. Then letter to editor we have maybe it starts with body, then we have conclusion and reference. Maybe because okay, this is good, right? So now let's look at it. We are trying to write on this particular research topic. So when do we follow IMRAD structure? Are we carrying out any experiments? No, because we are just trying to write on the advantages and disadvantages of any experiment. So if you are not carrying out any experiment, that means there won't be any methodology, right? If there is no methodology, there won't be results. And if there is no result, there won't be discussion. So that means this particular paper does not fall under the what? Under the first type of research paper, which is what? Which is the full or wet lab research or original research. Now, does it fall under commentary research paper? Yes, it falls under it because non-IMRA structure means that it is starting with abstract and ending with conclusion and reference. That's like everything everyone knows. So now, but in this case, we are writing what introduction. After introduction, what do we write? We write body. So what is the meaning of body? Like I said, body can contain. If you look at the slides, if you look at the slides, sorry. If you look at this slide, you can see body can contain recommendation, it can contain challenges, consequences, impacts, and so on. So in this case, you can easily say that this particular part, maybe the advantages, disadvantages, they will be written inside the body. Then after we are done with the body, we'll move on to the what? To conclusion, then reference. So in this case, this particular type of paper will be under the commentary research paper because we are just trying to make a comment. We are just trying to write advantages and disadvantages of the incorporation of technology in West Africa healthcare system. So now this is the research topic I want to write on. Now, how do we now start? How do we start? Now we already know that this is a commentary research paper. And the first one is what are the structure? Or what is the structure of a commentary research paper? Let me write it out. All right. So we have the abstract, have the introduction, we have the body, we have the conclusion, we have the reference. So now we have all of this, right? This is what we are trying to follow. We've already established the structure of what we are trying to follow. Now, if we are starting with abstract, even though we still break it down that what is expected of us to write in the abstract, what is expected of us to write in the introduction, what is expected of us to write in the body, what is expected of us to write in the conclusion, and also references. So now the very first way we will start today is with the reference. Yeah, we start with the reference. How can we now reference? So we have something we call them referencing tool, right? If you look at this, our class notes, we have the referencing tool, which are what? Uh, okay, they are not here. So we have referencing tool. Okay, we have them. I think I got them here. We have the Zotero, we have EndNotes, we have okay. They are called reference generator. We call them, we have the script, we have the MyBib, we have sites for me. Then we also have referencing software. So what's the meaning of all of this large grammar? So what they mean is that, this research, technically, we are not writing a new research, right? We are not conducting a new research. We are trying to we are trying to add advantages and disadvantages of the incorporation of technology in West African healthcare system. So now some of the things we need to know is that obviously we have to state where the the progression or the current state of the healthcare system in West Africa currently. So we have to maybe we start with abstract. Okay, abstract actually is more like a summary of all the research paper, which is why I don't want to start with it now because it's more like you must know everything you want to write in the introduction, body, conclusion, and reference. So it's more like the summary of all the research paper will be put inside the abstract. Then introduction, you have to introduce the research, the topics, you have to introduce some things we need to know, some basic things we need to know about the topic you are trying to write about. Then the body is where you actually write your advantage and disadvantage. Then you have to conclude, and based on your findings, then you have to write reference. So before you can write this reference, we I told you that there are different ways we can reference. We have the reference generator, we have the reference software. We even have PubMed and Google Scholar, and I will tell you how to reference using this tool. So uh, let's look at the abstract now. I told you abstract is more like what? Uh, Summary of all this, of all the research paper. So we have to write this at the when we are done with the paper because it's like it's a summary. Then introduction. What is expected of us? Introduction. We are introducing the research topic. We are saying we are trying to write about the incorporation of technology in the healthcare system. Now we have to start with maybe current states, maybe one state or healthcare system in maybe in West Africa. Want to say the current state of healthcare system. Sorry, healthcare system in West Africa. Maybe you also want to define maybe the significance. Maybe you want to say the significance of technology in healthcare. Also, you can also say now you have to give a hooker because this is more like the introduction. Then you tell us why you are trying to write, why you are trying to why you are trying to write this research paper and the research gap it will fill. Why you are writing this and the research gap and what you aim to achieve. Why you are writing and what you aim to achieve. Okay, so these are the things you write in your introduction, but we would dive, we would dig deeper when we when we are doing introduction as a topic. So today we are just trying to look it on the surface level. So after the introduction, we are moving to our body. So I've told you that body is more like a subsection. The subsection is allowing the body. You will not just write when you are done with abstract introduction. You will not just write body. A subsection is allowed in the body. So now under this body, we might start with current state. Now you can write current states of um, now you start to maybe stop. You can start with current state of healthcare system in West Africa. In this place, you would give us the statistical value of uh maybe you can start with the involvement, or you can even start with I don't know, maybe progression of healthcare system in West Africa. So now you can start with how healthcare was practiced during our forefathers' time. So you want to say it was practiced by, I don't want to say it's a guesswork, but then they actually know what they are doing. They know the herbal leaf, they know all the herbs they were consuming at the time. So it started with herbs, and it moved on to them actually. It started as a guesswork actually. It moved on to them actually knowing the herbs. Then after the herbs, they started preparing concoction, they prepared decoction, all of these things. They did some complex extraction of what of active pharmaceutical ingredients. So that's like the progression of healthcare system in West Africa over the years. So now, when you are done with that one, you might now say the current state of healthcare system, even though it has progressed over the year, still there is still a wide gap between the current state of healthcare system in West Africa to the modern healthcare system. And how can we bridge the gap? Through the incorporation of technology in the healthcare system. These are the things you will write, and also you support them with statistics. You would support them with statistics and all of these things. Maybe after you are done with your current state of healthcare system, now you can now write the advantages of, or maybe you can say you can write significance of technology in healthcare. Then you can continue with the advantages and maybe disadvantages. When I look at this thing, these are subsections, right? These are subsections. Now, so if this is 1.0, this will be 2.0. Then instead of this one to be 3.0, obviously body is 3.0, but this one will start with 3.1. Let me try to. Sorry. Maybe this one is 1.0, and this one will be 3.1. Let me get it right there. Then this one will be 3.2. This one will be 3.3. And this one will be 3.4. And this one will be 3.5. Okay. So now we can see how the label is going. Then after we are done with the body, the next thing is what? Conclusion and reference. So then we just conclude, then we write our references here. Okay. So this will be 4.7. So now we can see how the structure of a research paper is. We start with the abstract, then introduction, then the conclusion and reference. Even though these are the two things, these are the novelty we are adding to this research paper. Obviously, this progression, we would look for other research paper. Now, this is when we need referencing. We will look for other research paper that discuss or that published a thing about the progression of healthcare system over time in West Africa, right? So these are the research paper that we have to reference in this particular subtopic. So the same thing with current healthcare system, the same thing with significance of technology, because these are the things we actually, it's not our work. We are getting the information from other researchers' work. So we have to acknowledge their work by referencing their their research paper. So how do we now reference, which is where we are going today? How do we do referencing? So there are different ways we can do referencing. We can reference using research to we can reference using reference generator or um, so yeah, got okay. I think it's sorry. So you can reference using reference generator, and we can also reference using referencing software. So we can also reference using PubMed and Google Scholar. So now let's start referencing. Let's look at it. So these are the things we've done. These are introduction. So now let's start with progression of healthcare system in West Africa. Control C. So we have to go to any of our search engine, then we search Google Scholar or PubMed, whichever one. So we click on this PubMed. So I have Google Scholar too. Let me search. Okay, I think I have this one. Let me search. Okay, let me just paste it there. So we have progression of healthcare system in West Africa. Now, this particular this particular topic now, this particular thing I'm searching, it will be giving me something about healthcare system in West Africa. So I'll just click on search. Now, the very first thing I need to do is that whenever you want to reference, because whenever you want to reference, you want to click on, you want to use paper that are very recent. So you have to click on maybe custom range so that it will show. You can see this paper is published by 2021, 2024, 2025. I mean, these paper are still very recent. You can see we have 2017 here. Now imagine we have something like 1990. You can see this is actually a bit old, right? This is a bit old. This is 2010. But in this case, because we are trying to look at progression of healthcare system, that is how we start from the very beginning. So I think it should be allowed for us to use 2010 paper. So, but in normal in no- in a normal search, we shouldn't be using paper with that are beyond maybe 7 years, 5 years, 5 years to 7 years. So let's click on this paper. Let's look at it. Okay. So now, the very first thing is I'm seeing that this paper is a whole lot. So let me just say, I'm sorry. Now let's look at this. Let's say we want to reference paper, this particular paper. You can see it is saying that, I mean, you can see it. Let me try to expand it so you can see it very well. So now let's just focus on this particular part here. I believe by now you should be able to see it. So now look at this. It said in pre-explorer and pre-Western traders Nigeria, traditional medicine was the system of healthcare delivery. So this particular line, let's say, can see in spite of more than 150 years of introduction of Western style medicine to Nigeria, traditional healing and medicine still remains a viable part of the complex. Now let's say I want to start with I want to reference this particular word, this particular complex. So I'll go to my own. So in this case, let's say I started with West Africa, consists of, I'm not sure. Let me just say consists of 10 countries. I'm not sure of this number. So it's these are the things we need to fact check. But like, yeah, over 10 countries. Let's say 10 countries are countries in West Africa. I'm very sure it should be more. There should be more than 20. We have the Togo, we have Benin, we have Ghana, we have Nigeria. We have quite a number of them. So we have, let's say we have about 10 countries in West Africa. So and I want to say something like this. Medicine consists of 10 countries. Uh, So now I want to reference this particular paper. So I started this particular guy, this particular subtopic. Let me just I'm starting this particular paper, this particular section of this paper, with in West Africa consisting of over 10 countries with a strong root of traditional medicine practice since inception. Even though I really don't know, right? So I'm saying in spite of more than 150 years of introduction of Western style medicine to Nigeria. So, this is the exact words of the paper. that I've copied. So normally, you are not supposed to write it's like this. You're not just supposed to paste it directly the same way it was worded in the research paper. So we have to paraphrase it. We have to write it in other way, but they will convey the same meaning, right? They have to convey the same meaning, even though it is written in other way. But now I can see that it has been over 150 years that Western style of medicine has been introduced to Nigeria, a, one of the countries in West Africa. So ordinarily, I would not have known that it is over 150 years, right? So which is why I have to reference this particular paper and give this particular scientist or the group of scientists an acknowledgement, right? So that's the major reason we are acknowledging. That's the major reason we are referencing. So in this case, I can say Western style, Western, uh, sorry, Western healthcare practice. Although how do I introduce on STEM?
Introducing Grammarly, like yes.
Now let's see how it was worded. Right, you can see that even though they mean the same thing, look at this. You say Western healthcare practice, although introduced over 150 years, is still in its developing phase in Nigeria. Right, as traditional medical practice is still contributes significantly to Nigeria's healthcare practice today. You can see that it is the same thing. They convey the same message as this message I have copied. So what I'm trying to say is that okay, this is supposed to be contribute. So let's just ignore the grammar error in this case. This is just something that's so impromptu. So now let's look at this. What I'm trying to say is that you can see this particular sentence convey the same meaning as what we copied here. Even though this particular was not our words, is not our work, so we have to reference it. We have to reference this particular paper. So how can we reference this particular paper? And that's why we say we have different way of referencing this. So if you actually look at this paper that we referenced, if you look at this paper that we referenced, let me go to the time. I'm sorry. I copied. Okay. Now you can see this is our Google Scholar. This is the paper, right? So now we can see something like sites. Can you see? You can see something like sites here. So I can click on these sites. So there are different ways, there are different referencing style. Are we trying to use MLA? Are we trying to use APA, Chicago, Harvard? So what's the meaning of referencing style? Referencing style is more like saying that, oh, in this particular paper, this is the type of reference that you should, referencing style that you should use. So for different journal, they would say that, okay, it is approved in this journal. If you want to submit the paper to this journal, you must use MLS referencing style. If you want to submit your paper to this journal or your manuscript to this journal, you must use Chicago referencing style. So in this case,